Okay, I'm gonna do one of them. How's that? Just to refresh
You
your
should do
memory.
number 13 next.
Okay, here's do 13.
Yeah.
No,
Oh yeah, no.
we
No.
need 12 through 15, but just not 8 through 11.
8 through 11 is on. It's on YouTube. But let me do 10 just to refresh your memory. These four are the same. They're asking you. This is a finite geometric series. You're adding up how many terms? We don't know. The formula is S sub n. We don't know how many terms we're adding. And it's the first term times 1 minus r to the n power over 1 minus r. Okay, so what is the first term in this sequence?
3.
And actually this is a series because it has plus signs. It is 3. 3 is your first term. Can you tell me what the r value is?
2.
2, because, sorry guys, 3 times 1 minus 2 to what power? Now, this is what we don't know. 768 is, it's the first term in the sequence times the ratio to the n minus 1 power. How do you solve this? I mean, you could guess, you can, put a bunch of numbers in and see which one works, or you could do the log problem like I showed you yesterday. I would first get rid of this 3. 768 divided by 3 is 256. And then I would write this in log form. Log of 256 base 2 is n minus 1. Type this in your calculator and add 1. You should get n is 9. So, in other words, 768 is the 9th term. So you're adding 9 terms together. Now, if you type this in your calculator, you should get 1,533. And this is all explained on YouTube, 8 through 11. Okay, let's move on. Number 12. Number 12 is asking you to add up 5 terms. Term 1 to term 5. This is just like the previous problems, but actually it's easier. Because you don't have to figure out what n is. You don't have to do this log part. You can just figure out what n is based on subtracting these and adding 1 to it. So how many terms are you adding together? 5. How do you find the first term in the sequence? You're going to plug this lower limit in here. What is 3 to the first power?
3.
Okay, now I don't know what r is. So I'm going to generate the second number in the sequence. If I put a 2 in here, what's 3 squared?
9.
9. So can you tell me what the ratio is from 3 to 9?
3.
It is 3. So now here's your formula. It's a sub 1 times 1 minus r to the n power over 1 minus r. If you keep writing this formula out, I promise you'll remember it. It's 3. A1 is 3. 1 minus 3 to the to the 5th power. To the 5th power, n is 5. Over 1 minus 3. Type that in your calculator. Now, you should be practicing to make sure that you can get the correct answer, because this is tricky. I would suggest, if you're having trouble with using the parentheses, you could do it in steps. You could do 3 to the 5th power first, and then do 1 minus that answer, and then do 3 times that answer, and then divide by -2. You could do it that in steps. But does anyone have an answer for me?
363.
You are right, it's 363. Number 13, moving along. So they're asking you to add up 1 to 4. How many terms are we adding up?
4.
4. With the first term being, if you put a 1 in here, what's 1/2 to the 1 plus 1 power?
A quarter.
A quarter, good. If you put a 2 in here, what is 1/2? 1/2 to the 3rd power is 1/8, good. How are you going from 1/4 to an 1/8? What's the r value? 1/2, good. We've got it all now. The formula states a sub 1 is 1/4 times 1 minus the r value to the n power over 1 minus r. So do this one in your calculator and tell me what answer you get. I'm going to give you both answers, fraction and decimal. 15/32 or 0.4689. Questions?
How do you get the 1/4 again?
You plug this bottom number in here. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1/2 to the second power is 1/4. Questions? Okie dokie. Number 14. Let's do this one. So, how many terms are we adding together? 4. How do you get that, by the way? Subtract these two numbers and add 1. If it starts with n is equal to 1 down here, it's going to be that top number. But if n is not 1 here, it's not that top number. It just so happens that all the ones we've done so far, it's been the top number. Now, how do you get the first term in the sequence? You're going to plug this bottom number right here. What is 1 minus 1? What's 1 minus 1, everyone? 0. What's any number to the 0 power? 1. Then how do you get a sub 2? You're going to put a 2 here. What's 2 minus 1? 1. What's 2/3 of the first power? 2/3. How do you find the r value? You take the second term and divide it by the first term. What's 2/3 divided by 1? It's 2/3, so that's r. So here we go. We have the first term in the sequence is 1 times 1 minus the r value of 2/3 to the 4th power over 1 minus 2/3. And you should get for this one 65/27 for the answer. Next one, number 15. How many terms are you adding together? 5. The first term in the sequence, if you put a 1 in here, 1 minus 1 is 0, 1/3 of the first to the 0 power is 1. When you plug a 2 in here, a sub 2, you're going to get 1/3. So what is r? It's 1/3. So the formula is, it's the first term times 1 minus the r value to the n power over 1 minus r. And does anyone have an answer? These were last night's homework. You should get 121/81. That concludes last night's homework. Okay, now, we're going to go back into the notes. If I gave you this sequence, whoops, what is the sequence called? How do you go from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10? What are you doing?
Add 2.
You're adding 2. This is an arithmetic sequence. This is just, just watch these notes for a second. And this is actually going to infinity right now. What if I asked you to add the first 10 terms in the sequence? You would do this formula. S, 10 terms, it's equal to n over 2 times the first term and then plus the 10th term, if I asked you to add 10 of them. Well, the first term in the sequence is 2. The first term, the number of terms we're adding is 10. 10, sorry guys. The first term is 2. Now I need to know what the 10th term is. Well, what is the 10th term? You're going to do a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the d value. So 2 plus the 10th term, 10 minus 1 is 9, and 9 it's going up by 2. So what is this? 20. So 20 is your 10th term. So it'd be 5 times 22, which is 10. That would be the sum of the first 10 terms if it's arithmetic. Now, what if I asked you to add the first term to infinity? Add them all up from the first term is 2 to infinity. Would anyone think they could do this problem? Add to infinity? No, you can't, because the numbers are getting too large. So you can't do this one. Can't, because these numbers are getting too large. You can't add to infinity. Well, what if I gave you this problem now? 2, 4, 8, 16, and so forth. This is a geometric sequence. If I asked you to add the first 10 terms, you would do what we did on the previous problems. You take the first term and you multiply by 1 minus r to the n power over 1 minus r. We just did these problems. So if I asked you to take this pattern and add the first 10 terms, it'd be 2 times 1 minus, the ratio is 2, to the 10th power over 1 minus 2. You can do that. You'll get an answer. What if I asked you to add this to infinity? Add from 2, 4, 6, 8, 32 to infinity. What would you tell me? You'd say, I'm crazy. There's no way you can do it. The number's getting too large. There's no way you're going to be able to do it. But if I gave you this problem, 1, 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. If I asked you to add this problem to infinity, do you think you can do it?
No.
Yes, you can. If the R value, if this is the only one you can do, does anyone have an idea why it's possible?
Because it's less than
What is
12.
happening to these
It's
numbers?
getting smaller.
It's getting smaller and smaller. If the number gets smaller and smaller, this sequence converges. It's getting closer and closer to a number. If the absolute value of the R value is less than 1, the series or sequence, this is a sequence, if I put the plus signs here and say dot, 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 infinity, this is now a series and it converges. The sum of this is getting closer and closer to a number. The formula to do this, if the ratio is less than 1, it's easier than the problems we just did. It's a sub 1 over 1 minus r. That's the sum of a geometric sequence if you're adding to infinity. So what would be the sum? Well, what is the first term? 1. What's the r value? How are you going from 1 to a half? It's a half. So this is 1 over 1/2. You flip and multiply and you get 2. So if you were to continue this pattern, this number is getting closer and closer to the number 2. The sum is getting closer and closer to 2. Okay? You're starting to learn a little bit of calc. This is what the number approaches 2. It's getting closer to 2. Okay, so if the R value is bigger than 1, like this one, this diverges. Don't do it. So if the series converges, you can find the sum. If it diverges, don't. Now, the way I remembered it is this. This is how I remembered it. I made this converges. If it converges, you can do it. If it can't converges, the formula is a sub 1 over 1 minus r. It's the first term over 1 minus the ratio. And that's only if the absolute value of the r value is less than 1. If r is greater than 1, what's happening is your series is getting larger and larger. It diverges. If it diverges, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. If it converges, you can do it. If it diverges, don't do it. Okay, so let's practice some of these. Here, I want you to go back to the notes on got it on this page right here. Everybody find this one. We're gonna do a bunch of these. Does the infinite series converge or diverge? If it converges, you can add it, so do it. So how do you know if you can do it? Well, you gotta look at the R value. How is this thing going from 1/2 to 3/4?
Getting
From
squared.
3/4 to 9/8? What's the R value? How are they going from 1 to 3 to 9? Multiplying by 3. How are they going from 2 to 4 to 8? Multiplying by 2. So the ratio is 3/2. Is this number bigger than 1?
Yeah.
So this one diverges. You cannot add to infinity. Do not do this one. The next one, B. What's the R value from 1/3 to 1/9? Negative 1/9, I should say. Negative 1/3 is your R value. Is that number less than 1?
Yeah.
Yep. So this one converges. So how do we add this number to, and you can tell because it's getting smaller, because these numbers are getting smaller and smaller. It's a sub 1 over 1 minus R. Well, what's a sub 1? 1/3. What's the R value? Yep. Now I want you to all do this on your calculator and tell me what answer you get. Anyone?
1/4.
What'd you get?
1/4. I got 1/4 as well.
1/4. One third over, this is gonna be 1 plus 1/3, so this is gonna be 4/3. These cancel and you have 1/4. Letter C. Now this is written in summation notation. You're adding from 1 to infinity. This is gonna be the R value, 2/3. R is 2/3. I wanna do this quickly. Your first term in the sequence, if you put a 1 up here, you get 2/3. And the R value is 2/3. So it's 2/3 over 1 minus 2/3. So 2/3 over 1/3. These cancel and your answer is
2.
2. Questions? We'll go to the homework. We're probably not gonna do them all, but most of them. Number 17, let's practice these. Same kinds of problems. Does this geometric series, it's a series, and it's going to infinity. Can you do it or don't do it? Converge, diverge. What's this one? What's R?
-2.
Huh? R is 1/4. From 1 to 1/4, you're multiplying by a 4. So this one converges. So how do you do it? 1 over,
1 minus 1/4.
yep. And you could do this in your head, guys. 1 over 3/4. Flip and multiply, you get 4/3. You don't need a calculator for that. Number 18. Number 18, can you tell me, R is negative 1/2. So this one also converges. What's the first term? And then 1 minus negative 1/2, which is really 1 over 2/2 plus 1/2 is 1 over 3/2. What's your answer? 2/3, good. And 19. A half is your R value. Does this converge or diverge? This one converges. So the first term is 4 over 1 minus a half. So it's 4 over a half, which is what?
Alright, 4, 8.
8. Good job, 8. Questions, anybody? Okay, now, we're gonna skip 23 through 25 so we can finish this. 26. This is just like what we just did. They're giving you a series, because it has plus signs in between. And it's going from 1.1 to 0.11 to 0.011. It's asking you to add to dot, dot, dot. What does that mean? Add to what? Add to infinity. First of all, is this geometric? How do we show that this is geometric? What do you do? What's it multiplying by?
110.
Now, if you don't know, because I used to have trouble with these, take the second term, 0.11, divide that by 1.1, and you get 0.1. Take the third term, 0.001, divide that by 0.11. Oops, I did that wrong. 0.011 divided by 0.11, you should get 0.1 again. That's your R value, 0.1. So R is 0.1. So what is the sum? The first term over 1 minus R. So it's 1.1 divided by 1 minus 0.1. It's like a tongue twister. Hello. And that's your answer, 1.222. Okay, how about 27?
-1.
First of all, is this geometric? How would you prove that it's geometric?
Multiply.
How do you do it? You take the second term
Divided by the first.
and divide it by the first term. Tell me what you get.
-1.1.
Negative 1.1. And let's double check. Let's take the third term and divide it by the second term. What did you get? What do you get?
-1.1.
Negative 1.1. So what is this one?
-1.322.
And so can you do this one?
Yeah.
You can? What's the R value? What's the absolute value of this R value?
Over.
It's 1.1. It's bigger than 1. So this one we say it diverges. So, negative 0.11 divided by 1.1. Nope, that's wrong. This R value is negative 0.1. This one works. I'm like,
That's
this
what I
number's getting
thought.
smaller and smaller.
Yeah,
It
this
should
one
work.
gets, this one, the answer is 1, I think.
Yep.
So this over this should be negative 0.1. Shannon, try it again. 0.011 divided by negative point. These numbers are like tongue twisters. So that is the R value. R is, it's less than 1. This one converges. You can do this one. So this one, the sum to infinity would be the first term, 1.1, over the R, 1 minus the R value. 1 minus 0.1. These are hard to write. So 1.1 divided by 1 plus 0.1. And I got 1. Libby, you said 1, right?
Yeah.
Still
Good job.
divergent, right?
Thank you.
Good job. And let's try one more of these. One that's not a tongue twister here. This one's not too bad. This sequence is going, this is a series, it's going from 1 to negative 1/5, from negative 1/5 to 1/25. So what's the ratio?
-1/5.
Good, R is negative 1/5. So does this converge? Can we do this one?
Yeah.
Yes, this one converges. How else can you tell that it's possible to do this, add to infinity? These numbers are getting smaller and smaller, so you can reach a number. So what's the formula to add to infinity? What is it?
A sub 1.
A sub 1 over,
1 minus
what is the first term?
R. 1.
What's the ratio?
1
So it's negative 1/5, right? So it's 1 plus 1/5. Well, what's 1 plus 1/5?
6/5.
6/5. Flip and multiply, and you get 5/6. So this sum approaches, it gets closer and closer to 5/6. Are you getting this? Yes or no? Thumbs up or not?
Wait, can I see 23?
23. You
That
didn't
one
do
is-
23.
What would you, it's just positive and negative one,
23
is that just-
It's going from
Is that
1 to
necessarily
negative
even?
1. So what's the R value?
28.
Negative 1. Riley, Merkel, aren't you?
You got the at one.
Yes. No, this is
So
over 2.
1,
Over 2.
5.
So you're not gonna do this one?
Not doing them?
No.
Okay.
Okay, go to 32. Let's read the directions. It says, determine whether it's an arithmetic or geometric series. Now, if it's arithmetic and they're asking you to add a certain number of terms, is this one arithmetic or geometric?
Or geometric.
It's geometric, so they're multiplying by 2 here, they're multiplying by 2 here, multiplying by 2 here, right? This is geometric. If I ask you to add the first 10 terms of this series together, what is the formula? See if you remember it.
A sub 1.
A sub 1,
1 minus
R to the n power over,
1 minus
good. What is the first term in the sequence?
2.
of the series? It's 2. What's the R value? How are we hopping from 2 to 4?
2.
Good, multiplying by 2. How many terms are we adding together?
10.
10, and then over 1 minus the R value, which is 2. Type that in your calculator, everyone. I want to see what numbers you get.
What time is it?
15 minutes.
I just want to throw mapping, so you still use that? I paid for it last year, but
Right, not
it's still for 10 bucks.
13 or so. If you come back next hour on testing.
Okay, and you still use it in publishing?
Yes. Yeah, it's called by Math Lab. So what answer did you get on this one?
2046.
2046. Excellent. 2046. We get too many questions.
Right.
Okay,
I got
33. 33. Let's first determine what kind of sequence, if this is a series. Series has pluses or minuses and sequences have commas. This is arithmetic. Good job. Arithmetic. 9. Finishing 9. Okay, what's the formula for adding a finite? We're adding 20 terms together. N over 2, first term, plus the 10th, the 20th term. How many terms are we adding together?
20.
20. What's the first term? 2. Well, what is the 20th term? Don't know. Gotta go here. A sub 20. It's the first term plus n minus 1 common differences. So 19 times 2 is 38 plus 2 is 40. What's 20 over 2?
10.
10. What's 10 times 42? 420 Easter. 420 Easter. Next one, 34. 34. Give you a minute here. Tell me what kind of sequence it is.
Geometric.
Why is it geometric? Cause you're, wait, multiplying by what?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. So R is what? Negative 5. What's the formula? I'm adding 9 terms. What's the geometric finite series formula? What is it? Anyone?
Negative 5 times 1 plus 5 to the 9th.
Negative 5 is the first term. 1 minus negative 5 to the ninth power over 1 minus
Minus negative 5.
negative 5. Good job. Okay, type this in your calculator and tell me what answer you got. It's a big one.
Negative
1,627,605. Did anyone get that? That's what I got. And if you didn't, write it down, and you need to take some time to play around with that calculator that you're gonna use on your test. Okay, this is all gonna be on YouTube, so if you need to slow down a bit and watch it again, you can. Okay, last one. This one, when I looked at it, I first thought it was arithmetic. I thought they were adding by like 1.4 or something like that. Or 2.4, and then I said, no, that's not working. What I did was I did geometric. I said, what's 8 divided by 6.4? And then I did, what's 10 divided by 8? And I figured out that the R value is 1.25. So this one is geometric. And the formula is A1 times 1 minus R to the n power over 1 minus R. The first term being 6.4. The R value is 1.25. We're adding 7 of these over 1 minus 1.25. Check this out on your calculator. Anyone have an answer? It's a decimal. This one's a decimal answer.
Negative 147.
I got 96.47.
That's what I got.
Okay, good.
So this is-
Good job. Okay, moving along. What are these asking you to do? Add from, this means add. This means add up from 1 to infinity. So what formula are we playing around with? This one. Only if you can do it, if it converges. So, how do you get the first term in this sequence? You take this bottom number, this is your bottom limit, plug it in here. What's 1 minus 1?
0,
What's any number to the 0 power?
1.
1 is your first term. So 1 is your first term. How would you generate the second term? You're going to plug 2 in here. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1/5 is your second term. So how do you go from 1 to 1/5? What's R?
1/5.
1/5. Is that number less than 1? It sure is. So that is what you do. It's 1 over 1 minus 1/5. Well, what's 1 minus 1/5? It's what?
Wait, no.
This is 1 over 4/5. Flip and multiply 5/4. Good job. Next one. Okay, how do you find the first term? You plug 1 in here, and you get 3. Good. Then when you plug 2 in, you get
6. Oh no.
you get 2. If you plug 2 in here, you get 3/4. So if you do this times what gives you 3/4, R is 1/4. So this over that is 1/4. So it's the first term in the sequence, and R is less than 1, so this one converges. So it's the first term over 1 minus R. And the answer is 3 over 3/4, and the answer is 4.
Where is it 3/4?
Because 1 minus 1/4 is 3/4. So 4/4 minus 1/4 is 3/4. You flip and multiply, the 3's cancel, you end up with 4 over 1. Okay, 43. Plug 1 in here. You end up with 1 as your first term. When you plug 2 in, you get negative 1/3. So what's R?
-1/3.
Good, negative 1/3. So, what's your formula? A1 over 1 minus negative 1/3, or 1 plus 1/3, which is 4/3. So it's 1 over 4/3, which is 3/4. Good, 3/4. Good job. Now, number 44 is a trick question. Not really. Anyone know how to do this one?
3/4.
Why don't we do this?
Start rigid.
Why don't we do this one?
Bigger than you.
Because R is 2. It's bigger than 1. R has to be greater than 1 or less than 1. Okay, now we're going to do one story problem, and I think the bell's going to ring after that. So, got it? This one story problem. To save money for a vacation, you set aside $100. And each month, you're gonna plan to set 10% more. Well, on the first month, you have $100. What's 10% more than that? 110. Good. Then 10% more than that. Okay? So, to go from here to here, what's 110 over 100? It's 1.10. That is your R value. You're adding the original amount plus 10%. So R is going to be this. We actually did these in exponential problems. This is 1.10. That's your R value. Okay? Now, they want to know how much money are you going to have in 12 months? So anyone think they know which formula to do? It's geometric, and we're adding the first 12 months up. So what formula are you going to use?
100 times n minus.
A1, 1 minus R to the n power over 1 minus R. This is the finite geometric series problem. So the first term is 100 times 1 minus, the ratio is 1.10. We're adding 12 months, and then 1 minus 1.10. And I'd like to see the answers you get.
$2,138.43.
What'd you get?
2,138.43.
So did I. That's how much you would have saved up at the end of 12 months. Okay? Try 16 on your own for homework. And then for homework, I really need you to take a look. Again, I want you to do the odds. This is all review. And the answers are in the back of the book. I would highly suggest you check your answers as you're going along. So on Tuesday, when you come back, it's not like, I don't remember what we're doing. You're all going to be able to contribute to your group. Got it?